All right, this is my finals review for the trailer class. The first question right here asks, how much money will they earn by 8 p.m.? So all you got to realize is how much is it going by. From here to here is going by 2 hours, but from here to here is going by 1 hour. And when it went by 2 hours, they added $6. But then when it went by 1 hour, they added $3. So from 7 to 8, that's 1 hour. So we just have to add $3 to it. So that'll be 28. Number 2 says simplify. You see the parentheses means multiply, so we're going to multiply these two. Again, there's parentheses over here, so we're going to multiply these two as well. 3 times 9 is 27. 3 times x is 3x. Negative 2 times 4x is negative 8x. Now both of these x's right there come together, and 3x minus 8x is negative 5x. Now this one has a negative 5x, but a 25. This one has a negative 20. There it is. There's your answer right there. For number 3, this line right here is decreasing because we read from left to right, and from left to right, this is going downwards. Each month, okay, here we go. So this is pretty easy. They charge $29.95 for basic service and $4.95 each. So $4.95 gets the letter X. The answer is A. Number 5, change of Y, change of X is the same thing as slope, which we call the letter M. Y equals mx plus b. Dependent, independent. My hair color depends on. Well, if something depends on somebody, it is dependent. Which of the following will not be parallel? Parallel means you have the same slope. These right here are not parallel because these numbers are not the same. These are parallel. These also. And these also. All right, so in this case right here, we have an equation. But they hid the equation. Instead of using the proper letters, they use different letters. They use C equals 0.50p plus 250. All you have to do is change the letter C to Y and change the letter P to X. And once you do that, you'll be able to go ahead and check the calculator, plug in the calculator. When you plug it in the calculator, at that point, you'll be able to go ahead and just look at the table. And they say that they want to ship 3 packages that weigh 1, 2.2, and 1.8. And if you do that, and you plug those numbers in, you'll end up with C. 3, 3.4, and 3.6. Number 9, they want you to solve for Y, which means you want to get the Y by itself. In order to do that, you subtract 10x from both sides. But I'd rather go ahead and just circle it and draw an arrow, take it this way. So now I have 5y. It's negative 10x minus 25. Remember to change it from positive to negative if it crosses that line, and divide everybody by 5. Y equals negative 2x minus 5. Notice how all of them look the same. So be very careful. Look for this one, and then look for this one. That way you don't make a mistake by just catching one or the other. In the following sentence, the underline is independent. How tired I am depends on. If something depends on somebody, it is dependent, not independent. This is a table right here, and they asked us to find the rule. Now, in order for that to work, we're going to have to use the calculator. So whenever you use the calculator, you have to make sure, if you have a table, to use the stat function on the calculator. And then that would answer both of these right here, both of the questions. So we're going to go right ahead and take out the calculator. and plug in some of these numbers. So you go to stat, enter. And then the numbers were 0 to 3. And on the right-hand side is -6, 1, 8. And then all you have to do is go stat to the right, 4, enter, 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 and one more enter. The equation is, this is A, is 7, this is B, it's -6. Y equals 7x minus 6. Now, they asked us, which is another pair that would fit that? So let's go to the calculator and check that. We know the answer is y equals 7x minus 6. So all we have to do is go ahead and take a look at the table, and we can see all kinds of numbers. We'll see if any of those numbers that they gave us are actually here. First number they gave us is 4 and 26. Let's check that out. And that's incorrect. 426 is not there, but 529 is. Mark is counting the number of bacteria, and he finds out that it doubles. When something doubles, it does not work. It's not linear. It's nonlinear. When something doubles, we use the y equals a times b to the x formula. This is the multiplier. So that one is actually exponential. Harris County Fair charges $3.50 to enter the fair, and 0.55 each. Now that one right there, that one's linear. Which equation will be increasing? Well, that's pretty easy. If a line's going to be increasing, that means it goes upwards. If something goes upwards, the slope is positive. Do you guys remember slope man? The line that goes up is positive. This slope is negative, this slope is negative, this slope is positive, this slope is negative. The answer is B. Or you could just graph them and look at the picture. Which of the following graphs shows a trend line that represents it? Remember, a trend line is a line that crosses right dead center between the points. To find the slope of these points, you need 2 points. Our first point here is -8, 0. This one right here. And the other one is 0, 4. So again, all I'm going to do is use my calculator. Stat, enter. Actually, there's some stuff in there. So second plus sign, 712. Then I go stat, enter. That clears everything. -8, 0. 0, 4. All right, and again, the letter A is going to be our slope, and it's 0.5. Let's make it a fraction. Math, enter, enter. That's 1/2. I think it's on A. All right, let's solve for x. Again, if you want to solve for the letter, you always get rid of the number first. Opposite of -3 is just +3. You end up with x equals 30. All right, we're looking for something parallel. Parallel means it has the same slope. And the slope right here is 7. And there's 7 right here. Be careful not to pick D. That's a -7. So the answer is C. All right, now in order to see which one matches right here, we're going to have to go ahead and solve for y equal to for all of them. Or we can use the peekaboo method. The peekaboo method is actually the easiest way to do this. What that does is you hide one of the letters, and you solve it out. If you divide by 4, x equals -5. So let's go on the x-axis. That's not -5, that's +5. So it's not A. Let's try this one. Let's hide the x. If you divide by 5 on both sides, y is -4. And y is not -4. So it's not B either. Let's try D. If you hide the 5y and divide by 4, x equals to 5, which is correct. And then after you hide the x, you hide the y. Divide by 5, y equals +4. That is also correct. The answer is D. Okay, when you look for vertical lines, what you have to do is always use slope man. This is a vertical line. A vertical line's undefined. Which one of these is undefined? You can't plug into the calculator to see the graph of it. And the answer is pretty easy. This one. A y equal to is not undefined. A y equal to is a line that you can plug into your calculator and see the picture. We're looking for the y-intercept. Well, we always know that this number right here is the slope. So the y-intercept is always going to be this number. So this is kind of tricky because both of these have a -9. Well, remember, you always take the 0, and wherever it points at, this is where it's at. Since the 9's under the y, this is the y-intercept. Here, that's an x-intercept. All right, so we need a slope of -6. All right, this is the slope right here. Y-intercept of 8. This is a y-intercept right here. All right, here we go right here. They say, how do you count the slope? Well, that's pretty easy. You start on the y-intercept. That's where you put your dot. And then you go to the slope, which is 2 over 1, which means you rise 2 and you run 1. That means from this dot right here, you're going to go up 2 and you run to the right 1. And that's how you graph it. So up 2, right 1. All right, so here we're looking for what is the solution. So we're just going to graph it and look for the solution. -4x plus 7. When you go to the table, look at some of these points. We have 1, 2, and 1, -4. Let's check these out. They're both wrong. We have -1, 11, and -1, 3 is -1, 11. There's a line right there. So what we're looking for right now is what does it pass through which one of these points. Again, this is easy. Every time it says something says y equal to, all you have to do is just plug into your calculator and look at the picture. 2/3 x minus 4. When you take a look at the table, we're looking at some of these numbers. 2, 3, 5, -12. That's not there. But I do have 0 and -4. All right, so we're looking for something that's parallel. That means we have to have the same slope, which means we got to locate the slope. So I'm going to go ahead and go to my calculator and go to stat again. Once I press stat enter, I'll be able to pop those numbers in there. I have 2, 0, and 0, -6. Then stat to the right, 4, enter, enter, enter. My slope is 3. So I'm looking at something with the slope is 3 right there. For number 28, let's see. They pay 39 per day, so that's going to be 39x. And they don't give us any other number at all. So the answer is B. The equation y equals 2x plus 3 is graphed below. If this graph is shifted up 3 units, what would it look like now? All right, so let's take this whole thing and just pick it up 3 spots. Okay, pretend that's right there on the line. 1, 2, 3. If you notice, it remains having the same slope. The slope didn't change. So we can cross out these two because those slopes changed. What did change, though, is the y-intercept. It used to be right there at 1, 2, 3. Now it's up there on 6. All right, let's work this out. Parentheses means multiplication, so let's multiply. 8 times 2x is just 16x. And 8 times 1 is just 8 plus 6x. Now we can stop right here, but none of the answers look like that. So we remember that these two go together. 16 plus 6 is just 22x minus 8. All right, we have 4x minus 9. Now this is called the coefficient. And this number right here by itself is called the constant. The constant is constantly alone. The coefficient is right next to somebody, like a co-pilot, right next to the letter x. So the coefficient is 4, and the constant is negative 9. All right, again, let's go ahead and take a look at the vertical line. So let's take a look at the slope man. A vertical line is this one right here is undefined. Undefined means I can't plug in the calculator. I can plug this, I can plug this, I can plug this. I cannot plug this. This is your vertical line. All right, so we want something that has a slope of 7. But it also has the point -1, -4. So let's go ahead and graph this one, see if it has that point -1, -4. 7x plus 3. All right, and I'm looking for -1, -4. And there it is. The answer is D. All right, in this equation right here, we have f of x, which just means y. And every time that I see something that says y equal to 8x plus anything, that goes straight into the calculator. So let's go ahead and plug it in the calculator. And now when I go to the table, it says the domain and range. Now remember, when I grow up, I want to be a doctor. Domain is the x value. So the domain is 0, domain is 1, domain is 2, domain is 3. All I got to look for are the numbers in front of 0, 1, 2, and 3. So that's 2, 6, 14, 22. 2, 6, 14, 22. They made a mistake. That shouldn't be negative. That should be positive 2. Nope, it's negative 2. They're just over here. All right, write the equation of a vertical line. Again, this is pretty easy. Again, remember, vertical, horizontal, we always draw a slope man. This is a vertical line. It's undefined, which means it has to be an x equal to. This goes in a calculator, this goes in a calculator. They're not undefined. I can plug them in the calculator. Now, either x is 5 or x is negative 5. There's your x. That's a positive 5. All right, we have y equals 4x plus 3. If I shift the graph by changing the y-intercept to -3, so the y-intercept's right here, but we're going to take it down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spots until it becomes -3. Then it has the same steepness that crosses the y-axis at a different point. That's correct. The other one says it's steeper or flatter. They're only steeper or flatter if you change the slope. Exactly the same. No, you moved it. They have nothing in common. No, they have something in common. Again, the slope always goes in front of the x. So this is your slope. They say it's 1/3. And the y-intercept is positive 9. All right, here's the equation. Where's the slope? Again, remember the slope is always the number in front of the x. All right, now this is a y equal to. All I got to do is plug in the calculator. The numbers I'm looking for are 0, 4. That one's right there. Second number I'm looking for would be 6, 8, and 7, 10. 6, 8 is right there, but 7 does not have 10. So the one that does not have that point is 7, 10. All right, so we have these 2 points. So I'm going to go ahead and put them in the calculator and check to see if I can find the equation and the points and the slope. So it's 1, 3, and 523. So y equals 5x minus 2 is what we're looking for. This is the slope. This is the y-intercept. Is 313 on this line? Let's see. This is x, this is y. I can just go ahead and look at it on the table. 5x minus 2. And we're looking for the point 313. And it is there. All right, as you take a look at these points, they're kind of all over the place. So this is no correlation whatsoever. Again, every see parentheses means you're going to multiply. So we have open parentheses, start multiplying. Close parentheses, stop multiplying. It's negative 45x, and negative 5 times 7 is negative 35, equals 100. Now, to solve it, you got to get x by itself. You always handle the number without the letter. So the opposite of minus 35 is just plus 35. And now you divide both sides by negative 45. The answer is negative 3. All right, if you have water in the bathtub and how long the water's been running, the water's coming down here, and you leave it on more and more and more and more. As the time rises, the water also rises. So when two things are moving up together, we call that positive. Discrete means dots, and you count dots. You can't count temperature, you can't count height, you can't count weight, but you can count M&Ms. All right, so domain and range, we actually draw a table, and I want to grow up, I want to be a doctor. So the range is the y. This is x, this is y. So the y is 0, 50, 100, 150. So this is wrong. This is backwards. This is your answer. Doctors wear their ID. So if they want the independent variable, that's your x. X is boxes of candy. Again, coefficient. The b is constantly by itself. The coefficient, co-pilot, is always next to somebody, next to the x. So the slope is always next to the x. We have these two equations, 8x and 3x. Since 8 is bigger, we call that steeper. Since 8 is bigger, bigger is steeper. As the slope is bigger, is steeper. So we have these datas right here, and what they're asking us to do is to estimate how long would it take to get to 50. Now the dots don't get to 50, but if we draw a line dead center of these dots, we can have a trend line, and that can kind of tell us where the answer is at. Looks like it's around 40. All right, in order to solve again, parentheses means you're going to multiply. Outside this parentheses, it's just a negative sign. So we're going to multiply with a negative sign. 3y minus 5y minus 6 is equal to negative 10. Now I got 3 y's. I'm going to take away 5 from them. That gives me negative 2y. Whenever I'm solving, I always got to take care of the number first before the letter. So this is minus 6. The opposite of minus 6 is just plus 6. And if you divide by negative 2, y is positive 2. All right, again, it says per means x. So we know that this is 50 plus 5x. So let's go ahead and plug that into the calculator. And we're taking a look on this table until we find 175. Keep going. And 175 is right there. Horizontal. This is undefined. This is horizontal. The horizontal axis is the x-axis or the y-axis. This one right here is the x-axis. All right, they want to find a domain and range, so all you do is draw a box around it. When you draw a box around it, you're going to have to remember that the domain is the x and the range is the y value. And that's pretty easy. When I grow up, I want to be a doctor. So they're looking for the range, which is the y. Here's the y, right there, from -2 to 7. Notice here it says -2 to 7, but it says x. That's the domain. Range is always y. All right, here's our graph right there. And they say the average 16 hot dogs were sold per hour. Per means 1 hour. In 1 hour, there was 16. That looks about right. In 10 hours, there was 130. No, in 10 hours, it was 160. 70 dogs were unsold. We don't know how many they had, so we can't tell if they were sold or unsold. More hot dogs were sold this day than the day before. Again, they don't tell us what happened the day before. The answer is A. All right, so we have 7 per. 7 per. So this is y equals 7x plus 50. Again, once we have that, all we got to do is just plug in the calculator. Is this table the right relationship? Let's see. All we got to do is take a look at the table, and it has the same numbers, then it is. If it doesn't have the same numbers, then it's not. This table starts off at 5, 10, 15, and 20. 20 has 190. It's not. All right. Let's take a look at this equation right here. So they want us to get the equation for it, and all we do is use stat. It's 5, 10, 15, 20. And on the right-hand side, we have 85, 120. 155 or 190. Stat to the right, 4, enter, 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 enter. Okay, that's 7x plus 50. The y-intercept, again, we already have 50 is the y-intercept. 7 is the slope, so we'll go back here and see what 50 was. $50 setup fee. All right, so again, it's -6x plus 3y equals 15. We draw a line right here. We want the y by itself, so he crosses over. And when he crosses over, he changes signs. It becomes positive 6x. Then you divide everybody by 3. Y equals 2x plus 5. All right, this is quadrant 1, 2, 3, 4. The letter C is in quadrant 3. In order to get to B, you have to walk the 2. That's positive 2. And you have to climb down to 5. That's negative 5. If you work 12 hours and you get paid $73.20, if you divide them by each other, you'll find out how much you got paid for just 1 hour. So we go 7320 divided by 12. That's for 1 hour. You got paid $610. But if for 20 hours of work, we just multiply that by 20. And the answer is 122. All right, we have an equation. Now, in this equation, they don't have the right letters, so we just switch the letters back to y equals 30 minus 1.5x. We'll take a look at the table. Let's go ahead and get it started at 0. All right. And what they're asking right here is what is the appropriate domain for this situation? Well, we got a gift card, right? And the cost of each song. So we can download 1 song, 2 songs, 3 songs, 4 songs. We can't download negative songs, and we're not going to start off going by 30s. You go by ones when you buy your songs. All right, we have another y equal to right here. This says 5x, 60. That sounds about good. This is 5x and 60, but when you buy stuff, you actually lose money. That's a minus. All right, here we go. He travels from home. If he drives 60 miles per hour, that's 60x. That's not what we're looking for. And if you remove, this is a minus, not a plus. The answer was A. Here we have x-intercept and y-intercept. This is the x-intercept right here. You walk to 6, and you climb to 0. And for the y-intercept, you walk to 0, and you climb to -4. Not +4. All right, so again, they say x is 5, so take out x and put a 5. Take out y, put an 8. Take out z and put a -4. So this is 2 times 8 divided by -4 plus 3 times 5. All right, you always do the multiplication. Well, let's just, this gives me 16 divided by -4. That gives me -4. And 3 times 5 is just 15. It gives me 11. All right. Again, this is where you hide 1. If you divide by 3, the x-intercept is -12. And if you scratch out the x, divide by -4, y is +9. Whenever you see parentheses, you have to multiply. That's 4x plus 8. And that's -6x plus 2. Now again, these go together. And 4 take away 6 is -2x. And 8 plus 2 is just 10. Now what they did is they made a mistake. That should be a 10 right there. We have 5x, take away 3x. That gives me 2x. And you always subtract the number before you mess with a letter. We have 2x equals -14. If you divide by 2, you end up with the answer x equals -7. Whenever you have x on both sides, you have to bring them to the same side for it to work. And every time somebody crosses over, you change the signs. So I got 5x, take away 3x, that's 2x. On the other side, I have 2 plus 6, which is just 8. If you divide by 2, x is 4. Whenever you graph an inequality, you just plug into the calculator and get a couple of numbers. That's 2/3 x minus 1. And all I need is 2 numbers. So 0, -1, and 3, 1. Now this says less than. It doesn't have a solid line under it, so I'm going to use the dashed line. And for less than, you shade the lower portion. Less, lower. Now we have a greater than. Again, it doesn't have a solid line. If it had a solid line, we use a solid line. But since it doesn't have that solid line, we use a dashed line. In this case, the shaded region is where the answers are. These are correct answers. This one is not because it's not shaded. And this one, even though it's on the line, it's on a dashed line. So it's actually not shaded either. The only 2 things with a circle are the correct answers. Now, how do we find out the solutions to these? Well, since they say y equal to, all we got to do is plug them in the calculator. The first one we have is y equal to x plus 1. Does that have 2, 5? Yes. How about 5x minus 3? It does not. And the last one is 4x minus 3. It does. So the ones that have 2, 5 is just 1 and 3. I know I went by kind of fast, but this is the best that I could do. Make sure if you have any questions to ask me in class. Good luck on your final.